through the fjords, carrying with it the scent of the sea and the echoes of battle. Lagertha stood atop the cliffs, her gaze fixed upon the horizon. She was no mere woman. She was a shield maiden, a warrior of legend, forged in the fires of war and tempered by the pain of loss. The gods had tested her time and time again, yet she remained unbroken. Her story was one of blood and iron, the rise of the Shieldmaiden. It began in the dark days when the tyrant King Frø of Sweden raided her homeland, slaughtering her kin and enslaving the women of Norway. Lagertha, barely more than a girl, was among them, but she refused to be a victim. As Frø's men reveled in their victory, she and the other captive women seized weapons, disguising themselves as warriors. When Ragnar Lothbrok, seeking vengeance for his fallen kin, led his army against Frø, it was Lagertha who struck the first blow. She fought with such ferocity that even Ragnar, the mightiest warrior of the north, was awed, love, and betrayal. He took her as his wife, not because she was fair, but because she was fierce. Together they carved their names into history, raiding across the seas, conquering kingdoms. Lagertha stood beside Ragnar in battle, her sword cleaving through enemies as easily as any man's. The sagas spoke of her like a Valkyrie made flesh, chosen by the gods to wield death upon the battlefield. Yet even love was not enough to chain a spirit as wild as Lagertha's. When Ragnar's heart strayed to another, she let him go, but she did not weep. Instead, she returned to Norway, raising an army of her own, proving that she needed no man to stand beside her. She had given her heart once, but she would never surrender it again. The call of war. Years passed, and Ragnar fell to his own ambitions, his dreams of glory leading him to a snake pit in England. The news of his death reached Lagertha like a dagger to the heart, but she did not falter. Instead, she took up her sword once more, rallying warriors to her side. The north was in chaos, torn by rival kings and feuding jarls, and she would not stand idly by while the land she loved was consumed by greed and weakness. She built a fleet and led her warriors across the seas, striking fear into the hearts of those who thought women were too weak to command. Kingdoms burned in her wake, and her enemies whispered of a queen who fought like the thunderstorm itself, her battle cries shaking the heavens. The battle for power. Her greatest battle came when the treacherous Jarl Sigurvard, a man who sought to break her, underestimated the fury of a shield maiden. He sought to claim her as his own, to bend her will to his, but Lagertha was no man's possession. One night, as the feasting hall was filled with drunken revelry, she struck him down with her own blade, claiming his power and his lands for herself. The men who had once doubted her now bent the knee, for they had seen the wrath of the warrior queen. But power is a fickle beast. The more she conquered, the more enemies she made. Yet Lagertha was relentless. She built alliances, cut down those who stood in her way, and solidified her name as one of the greatest rulers the North had ever seen. A warrior's end. Her legend grew, her name whispered with both reverence and fear. But even the mightiest warriors are mortal. Time, like the tide, is relentless. Though she had won countless battles, she could not fight the passage of years. The day came when she rode into battle for the last time, her sword singing in the wind. She fought not for conquest, not for power, but for the honor of the fallen, for the memory of Ragnar, for the warriors who had bled beside her. The battle raged, shields splintered, and swords rang like thunder. Lagertha led her warriors into the fray, her presence alone inspiring men to fight beyond their limits. But even the greatest warrior cannot fight forever. In the end, she fell not to an enemy worthy of her, but to betrayal. A coward's blade, wielded in the shadows, took from the world its fiercest daughter. Yet even as she lay dying, her spirit remained unbroken. She looked to the sky, whispering her final words to the gods who had watched her every step. "I have no regrets." And so Lagertha, the Shieldmaiden, the warrior queen, passed into legend. Her name would never fade, for as long as warriors raised their swords, as long as the north wind carried the echoes of battle, her spirit would ride with them. The gods did not weep for her, for they knew she was coming home. Thank you for joining us on this epic journey through the life and legend of Lagertha, the warrior queen of the Vikings. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Let us know which legendary figure you'd like to hear about next. Until then, may the gods watch over you, and may your sword always find its mark. Skål.